We're here with Leslie Ehm. We are going to do the following. We're going to look at a problem that Leslie has, and then we're going to see if we can make progress on making some form of change or transformation over the course of this 20 minutes. And then we're going to look at Leslie's handwriting to see if there are additional insights that would add layers of wisdom and help bring more self-awareness. Hey, Leslie, how are you?
Oh, I'm so excited about this, Jamie. This is going to be so much fun.
Amazing. Just before we start, can you just tell us who you are, what you do, and what the problem that you are having now?
My name is Leslie Ehm, as you know. I'm a Wall Street Journal USA Today bestselling author. I'm a speaker, I'm a swagger coach, and I own a corporate training company. And the reason I wanted to talk to you today was because I feel like I'm entering this sort of third trimester of life, this final stage. I'm 58 years old, and I am a like grotesque overachiever. I come from a long line of grotesque overachievers. They're all in my family. We're all entrepreneurs. And I've always been told that I could do anything, which is great, but also sets the bar very high because if I can do anything, I really should be doing everything. And I've done that my whole life. I have just gone and gone and gone and gone. And I'm getting to the stage of my life where I've ticked so many things off my bucket list. I've done amazing things. I've been lucky enough to work in my place of purpose, but I'm kind of like, when is it enough? You know, like when can I just go, I'm good. I don't need to achieve at this level anymore. I don't need to always have an end product, an output to thing. I can just kind of be. It makes me feel so uncomfortable because I don't know what I would be without the doing, the human doing, as opposed to just the human being. So that's what I wanted to get some insight on.
Okay, well, thank you for that. How do you measure success now as a high achiever?
It's changed over years. I used to be a goalpost mover. So anytime I would achieve something, I would go, well, and it can't be that great because I did it, and then I would just move the goalpost and move the goalpost. And then it was by money, but I'm really not driven by money anymore. I don't care about it so much. For me, it's achievement is sort of tied to how close to my place of purpose am I? And am I able to sustain myself doing that? That to me is the recipe for success. Am I doing kind of what I love? And am I able to make a living out of it?
Why is it important to do what you do now as a speaker, as a consultant, as an author?
Well, because I believe that the message that I have is critical. I think that the whole swagger ethos, I think the world would be better if more people had, my version of swagger in it. And I think I've seen how transformational it can be. So I feel like if I don't do it, not that I do, I want to stop because I love doing it, but I feel like if I didn't bring that message out as big as I could, then I would be letting myself down and letting the people who could benefit from it down. I put a lot of pressure on myself that way.
Yeah, granted. So on the topic of swagger, which is behind you, your book, what is it about the message and swagger you mentioned in helping others gives you a deep sense of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment?
I worked in the corporate world doing coaching and training and consulting for, I don't know, like 15 years or so. And what blows my mind, Jamie, and you'll appreciate this because I'm sure you've experienced that, is that it doesn't matter how fancy the person is, what their title is, what their status is, what the company is, whatever. People do not believe that they can reveal who they really are and find success through that. They
Mhm.
believe they have to put on this false front. They have to fake it till you make it, and this mask of professionalism and fancy themselves up, and that they can't show people that they're just a messy, human, beautiful, imperfect being. And everyone's aspiring to this confident exterior. I think it's just such a load of crapola. And what I've done is taken the word swagger because everybody says that they want swagger. I wish I had more swag, and I've redefined it as the ability to manifest who you really are, and then the ability to hold on to it in the face of all of that psychological crap that's going to try and come forth, regardless of the situation or environment. So one face, one truth, one heart, no matter where you are. It's that courage to just keep it real 100% and use everything that you are to be as powerful as you can possibly be. That to me is the key. That's the key to success, happiness, life, everything.
So do you take your own advice? Do you feel right now you're living that message of manifesting who you truly are?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. I don't hold anything back. I think you could ask, 500 different people, what's Leslie like? And they probably say that pretty much the same thing. I mean,
Yes.
I don't, yeah, I don't think I'm capable of living any other way. I'm like, you take me or you leave me. I don't care. I'm good.
So taking that message of manifesting, where are you going with this? So you've written the book. It did really well. You've worked with Google, you work with some of the biggest companies in the world. You talked about this third stage about moving forward. I want to get a little bit further into it before we look at the handwriting. So what do you want to do moving forward?
I don't, I'm not really sure. I mean, I think I understand the end goal, the end, but I don't really have a clear idea of the means at this point. So I know that in a perfect world,
Yeah.
if we could flash forward, 5 years, what would I have done? I would have reached as many people as I possibly could have reached in a meaningful way and shared this message and contributed towards the transformation of as many humans as I possibly could. That's really, and if I have to do it one damn person at a time, okay,
Yeah.
so be it. If I can do it on, on bigger scale, whatever it takes. If I wake up in the morning and I get to do that in some
Yeah.
form, I'm happy, but I don't, it's like, it's different because when I was younger, it used to like the dogs were nipping at my heels, like go faster, Leslie, do it, go harder, go whatever. And I
Yeah.
don't feel like that anymore. And it's freaking me out. It's like I still feel like I have so much to offer,
Yeah.
but I don't want to feel that sense of running away from something as opposed to moving towards something. That's kind of the thing.
Yes. I hear you. What do you want to be celebrating 11 months from now if we were to have this conversation again? Even though you're not sure, what would be worth celebrating for you along these lines?
I think if I had secured enough opportunities to reach lots of people, because I think it sort of builds its own momentum. I mean, I do speaking engagements and I do all that kind of stuff. But I feel like I'm doing it little piece by little piece. I kind of, it would be great if like a fairy godmother came and said, "Here, I will give you this platform and you can go."
Yeah.
That would be great. But do I want to turn myself inside out to make that happen? No,
Yeah.
I don't. And I'm shocked by that, That's the part that scares me, Jamie, is like, what's happening to me? I'm not an old lady, but it's like slowing down for me. This burning thing is just kind of bubbling now. It's
So
just bubbling.
is there a better goal to pursue? Because it seems like we're focused on the path you're on now. So you've gained success, you've become a successful author. When I go to Indigo, I see your book in the business section. And I say to my wife, look, and I say to my kids, look, my friend Leslie, her book's right there. Within our community, you're very well known. So is there a better goal that we're missing here, that we're focused over here on the direction that you're currently on, to provide meaning and to help others, to help as many people as possible? Is there another goal or another path that we haven't talked about that you've thought about, but you haven't gone down that path?
Yes, I mean, there's things that I kind of would love to do, but they feel more self-serving, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to being
Mm,
in service, and I feel like, and I'll probably cry when I talk about this, but I feel like if I'm not being in service,
yeah.
then I am not fulfilling my purpose. And even if there's other purpose, like, we've talked about, I started to paint a little while ago and I love that. I really want to write a book. I want to write a novel, not a business book. I want to write a novel, but it feels self-serving. And I'm not comfortable with that. Not yet. I'm not comfortable with that. You know, I feel like, but what about the person I could have helped? What about the person that needed to hear what I had to say at the time that I had the opportunity to say it? What about because you get it, what it's like is, when you're in this business, you get a lot of feedback from people. And people will read your book and reach out to you and say, this is what how my life changed and all of that stuff. And that's like soul crack, because you go, oh my God, who gets to have that kind of feedback about how their work has impacted, strangers? It goes, I go, yes, the reason for being, reason for living. So to take that out of my life, I feel like I'm afraid about how I would feel, because it feels really good. But also I feel like I would be using my superpowers for something other than good somehow.
Yes, I hear you. Thank you for that. What I'd love to do now is if you could show me your handwriting, which I asked you to do just earlier,
Yeah.
which was I asked you to write 2 sentences. I told you and their purple people eater friend, take that silly monkey and go back to the darn zoo, which I choose those letters because they show different letters that I can take a quick snapshot. And really what I'm trying to do with signature leadership is I want to tell you what's going to make or break success, although there's no absolutes when it
Okay.
comes to what you just shared with me, and see if there's anything beneath the surface, because the way it works is the act of writing starts in your brain. It sends a signal down the nervous system to your hands, and your fingers carry out the directive of your brain. So your writing paints a picture of what you think. And you could be a bit skeptical about this, but when you see that it's really not about reading you or your body language, it's really about the strokes on the page and how they can contribute to really getting a better understanding of where you are. And in your case, you're so self-aware, it might just be adding layers of reinforcement of what you're thinking, and that can be helpful too. So let's look at your handwriting, and I'm going to give myself
Okay.
about
Oh, I'm gonna do
10,
it.
10 seconds or less. Let's just
Hold
hold it
on.
up.
No, I gotta
Yep.
I gotta get myself so that they could see my little face in here. Okay,
Yeah,
hold
we
on.
want to see your face too. Okay. So,
Okay.
okay, wonderful. So I'm just going to look at this and I'll talk a little bit, and then I'm going to jump in and tell you just a few things, and you tell me if they resonate or not to see if there's a deeper meaning. So, you talked about, first of all, your book, your swagger, about, from my understanding, it's about being your authentic self, and stepping into, your full truth, even if it's imperfect. And what I'm seeing here is someone who is actually walking your talk when it comes to swagger. Your writing is large and centered. That shows someone who gains energy from being with people. The term extroverted is a little bit outdated, but you love when you're talking with, whether it's one person or a group of people, that really brings life. And you use that word. You want things that you want to give life. You don't want to be selfish and self-serving. So that part of you, that authentically energy giving person, that is in alignment with what you just said, right? So when you said, I don't want to go on the other paths, I might do those on the side, you're looking for ways to be of service, to be useful to a great amount of people. Now, let's look at a few things that pop out. Your eyes, your capital I, which you can look at later, it's interesting format. So the eye might show me parents. And when I look at your parents, what I'm seeing, and I can prove it based on this, it's again not what I know of you or interpretation, is when you think of your mother, you're actually looking backward and reflecting. It's all the way to the back. And the father line is actually not really prevalent right now, which all that might mean is that your high achievement, you're trying to drive forward, you're wanting to in some way satisfy or live up to expectations, might be connected to the mother figure in particular, because it's going back, it's large, but when a writing goes back, there's sometimes issues with self-esteem that's connected to a certain parent. So I'm not seeing anything about the father. It doesn't mean the father wasn't important in your life. It's just saying with your mother, there's looking back and finding a way to say, Mom, I'm okay. Look at what I've achieved. And your confidence that's shown in the rest of your writing that's focused on others, that same self-love is not always given to yourself. So those around you, you're giving energy, you're serving others, but I think sometimes you're the last person who you give that same level of grace, and just give yourself space to not have to achieve all the time. That's what that one letter with that large, centered, vibrant. You have full of charisma in this writing. You're a realist with a slight bit of optimism moving up. So what that means is you're not going to sugarcoat a situation, but ultimately you're going to find the path. And for those around you, say, look, you might not use these words, but Les, you'll say, look, this is a really shitty situation we found ourselves in. It sucks, but I know that it's possible that we're going to move through this, and bigger and better things are on their way. That
I
could
would
be
use exactly those words, Jamie. Exactly
okay.
those words.
Yeah. So how is that resonating so far?
Truth, truth, all truth.
Okay. So when we go back to that high achiever, which we did at the beginning, which you seem to emphasize, and it was the first thing, and sometimes the first thing people say is what's on their mind on some level. I would just ask you to really look at that. And this is not advice. It's just asking you, how are you showing up in a way that gives yourself a break in moving toward what you want, that doesn't identify so strongly with high achievement? Because, okay, let me put that another way. I don't know if I love the way I said that. I think it's simply, what can you appreciate yourself that doesn't define some of your self-worth, at least professionally, on what you've achieved? And I think if you can answer that question by disconnecting your worth with all the success you've had. I mean, I think you're very successful. I know people we know think you're very successful, but how can you remove that at this stage in your life and just focus on pure service without the pressure of high achievement being what your mother might have wanted for you, what you perceive is this constant, almost like Wayne Dyer called it, this bag of crap on your neck that you're carrying around with you, this burden of having to constantly achieve. So you are aware of that. I'm not telling you anything you didn't know, but it's just maybe another way of saying it is, what will it take for you to disconnect part of your identity of wanting to serve with that achievement? Because if you can discontinue or disconnect those or let go, I don't love that word, it's hard to let go, find a way, then I think that will become apparent, because there won't be the pressure of achieving. It will be focused solely on serving. And you said that it was about, you felt it would be selfish. Certain things would be selfish. So I would ask you to reframe that. And I would ask you to think, if you're taking care of yourself, which this shows you're always taking care of others, is that selfish? Is it selfish to do things solely for you at this stage in your life in helping you serve others? You're serving yourself to help others see you in your full capacity and not always putting others first.
Yeah, that's hard. That's a hard thing. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's it's the sort of psychology around creating that disconnect to say, I can be the human being, not just the human doing, and still feel like I'm contributing just in that state, in that state of just being. And that's enough. And I think we get better at that as we get older,
Yeah.
because we're not like, front of stage all the time, or we're not, the world kind of belongs to younger people, that kind of thing. But it's interesting that you said my mother, because my mother was a high achiever until the day she died. She, you know what I mean? She was walking that talk big time. And I think she kind of set the standard for what my expectations are of myself, that I got to keep going until I can't go anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's with handwriting analysis. One letter in connection with other traits can sometimes reveal those things that we've been carrying with us, or that explain in some ways what the root, not always causes are, but the root reasons for the way we are, that are sometimes subconscious. So what I want to ask you moving forward is, so how do you keep momentum in this search of figuring out what your next steps are to find that thing that taps into your willingness to serve, that gives you that satisfaction without the burden of having to feel like you need to achieve a certain level that you haven't really defined yet, but that it might never be satisfied. So what can you do moving forward to keep that momentum in that search?
I'm trying to be as compassionate as possible with myself, and to not rush because I don't know what I'm rushing towards at all.
Yeah.
And that's new for me is, my husband's very proud of me because I'm like, I'm just going to breathe through it and take my time and not feel like I have to come up with an answer. Because I think sometimes the world has a way of presenting things to you as well. If you're open to it and you're not distracted by everything else, you kind of go, oh, that okay, that's the thing, right? Um, and I've been also really diligent in not saying yes to things that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
That's big for me because that's not usually what I do. Usually I say yes, not I don't say yes to everything, but I'm very much about I gotta tick off the list, all the things that must be done this year or this whatever, be it revenue, be it, number of gigs or whatever. And more, I if something doesn't really turn me on, I go, no, thank you. And if other things turn me on, but they don't make me money, I go, yes, thank you. I'll do it. That's the thing. That's very different than a few years ago. So I think that stuff is helping,
Yeah.
but I still have work to do for sure to just my husband is my person, right? He's the person who understands me best and has like he's the most compassionate, most non-judgmental human ever. And he said, Les, if you don't make money, we're okay. You're okay.
Yeah.
So take money out of the mix. Now think about it. If you take money out of the mix, now what are the things that you want to think about or what you want to do? If you want to just write your book, you want to paint, you whatever, I got you, girl. Like we're fine. You've it's like you've been working hard enough for long enough. You can relax. I'm like, oh, okay, that's lovely. It scares the crap out of me though. Scares the crap out of me.
Amazing. We'll end there, but let's see the handwriting one last time.
What does
And I
my
want to,
signature say, Jamie? What is that? What does it tell
can
you?
you move it a little bit closer?
Here's just my
Yeah.
signature.
Okay. What it says is you're at a point in your life where you put your family first. So the actual writing of the last name or whatever perceived as that has it's larger, it's more dynamic than your name. So you're confident, but the family is your precedent. You're facing forward to your family, and there's great satisfaction, and there's this bond of what can I do in service to my family. Other things about the name itself is you've got a fast thinking mind. There's incredible fluency. So even when I've just been asking these questions in kind of a slow, methodical way, you're already thinking 10 steps ahead of whatever I just said. And you can go as fast as the other person. So that's a sign of high intelligence. You see that with speakers, with writers in particular. Again, even if I didn't know what you do, that is the sign. I've seen that with authors and podcast hosts and people like that. One thing about you is that might surprise people just even by how outgoing and charismatic you come across, even in a situation like this, is there's a little bit of caution where you don't always jump in with everyone if you have an instinct or feeling that you need to just check their motives or understand them a little better. So there's a little bit of a caution at the end of your last name. Now, I think that would have been started very young, where you had to learn to trust people based on how you were treated, how others showed up. But it's healthy. It's saying, I'm outgoing. I am here. I'm a non-judgmental person. I'm a friendly, sociable, nurturing person. But you have to earn that as well. It's not just given without some earned give and take. Not transactional, but there's that hand that's coming up toward the end that's connected to your last name. One or two other things. Well, the fluency is extraordinarily high with you. The other thing is in your first name, that's a very similar size, shape, and legibility as the rest of your writing. What that can mean is that there's an alignment. So you are the same person who you are privately as you are publicly. That is no bullshit. I'm authentic. And what I preach or what I say is integrity, one definition could be your actions match your words match your actions, both in public and private. And that's who you are. And those who know you would say that behind your back. You know what to expect with Leslie. And that is the trait that you see with people who have friends who build relationships, because they know that that person is not going to be two-faced. It's kind of the opposite of two-faced. It's one-faced. It's a complex face, but it's a multi-dimensional, open and friendly face that is going to be a little bit cautious until you let them in. But once you do, you're going to be a friend for life.
Oh, that makes me so happy that like my handwriting is walking my talk. It just makes me so happy. And you're absolutely right. Like, I'm one of those friends who, once you have me, I will die for you. But I don't need to have a million friends. Like, I have a small, tight group of people that I love and that I trust. And I don't feel the need to have these, huge posses of people and all the rest of it, because I know that what I'm prepared to give to my friends is like everything. You can't give that to everybody. It's exhausting. And also, you cannot fool me. You cannot. Like, I'm so the opposite of a victim. It's like, I don't think so. So if you want me in your life, you got to earn me. But I'll give my time to people. I'll help or whatever. But if you want to be super close to me, nah, it's a different story. It's really astute, Jamie. It's cool.
Thank you. Thank you for participating.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me. I love this. This was super helpful.